Let's talk about connecting to other dimensions and other life forms. My dear and esteemed viewer, the golden age of awareness that Earth is now moving into is affecting all life on Earth, whether we are mineral, plant, animal, human, or elemental. We are recognizing that each other exists, that we can communicate with each other, and that we need each other to perfect the multidimensional world in which we all live. We say we live in a solid, normal, third-dimensional reality. But if we stop for a moment and consider the various ways in which different people interact with the forces of this universe, what is normal? We are part of a very large, very old, and very diverse universe. Many intergalactic and interdimensional issues abound in this vast society. As we on Earth mature and move into this larger space, we will need to learn how to deal with issues that are arising in a vast variety of ways. There are many dimensions and many worlds extending in perceptual range from those close to our frequency to those that are extremely different. The life forms in all these worlds are just as real as we are, and like us, they are each directly connected to the one ultimate source of all, our infinite prime creator, the divine grid programmer. The ability of humans to perceive these other worlds is cyclical in nature. Many visionary traditions around the world have documented these varying cycles of awareness, including the Navajo, the Mayan, European esoteric, including Nostradamus, and the Hindu and Buddhist cultures. Each tradition, because of the way it has culturally evolved, terms this cycle or rotation of ages slightly differently. Yet, most are in agreement that right now we are on the cusp of a new age, one of spirituality, which may occur relatively peacefully or cataclysmically. Cataclysmically, it is up to humans to make that choice, which timeline to choose. Now, in the yogic tradition, where I received many decades of training, we refer to this process as a cycle of 4 ages. Proceeding from the highest golden age, the Satya Yuga, when humanity has its greatest access to spiritual consciousness, to the darkest age of iron or age of darkness, the Kali Yuga, when humanity is the furthest from awareness of its spiritual origins. It is believed via my yogic lineage that we are near the end or at the end of the thousands of years long Kali Yuga and are transitioning to the start of a new and higher cycle, the next golden age. I believe it's going to be tomorrow morning. Whenever this Satya Yuga occurs, humans are able to perceive life forms that exist in the higher frequencies. We can see levels of energy that we have not been able to see in many thousands of years. These energies, life forms, and structures have always been there, but because they exist in faster, higher, more subtle frequencies than the energy that forms the Kali Yuga, most humans could not perceive the forms. During the Kali Yuga, some visionaries have stated that evidence proving the existence of previous, very high Earth civilizations was right in front of our eyes, but we had not been able to see it, or if we saw it, to understand what it meant. For example, the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce, working in the early years of the 20th century, often made comments about various physical structures that would prove the existence of ancient civilizations, saying that these structures would suddenly be discovered at specific years in the future. He said that the steadily expanding human consciousness would suddenly be able to vibrationally access the level of awareness during which these structures were built. Until then, although this evidence was already there, it would not be understood and hence would remain unseen. Cayce specifically predicted the discovery of sites off the coast of Bimini and Cuba that would prove the existence of Atlantis, and the discovery of a secret chamber under the Sphinx in Cairo, Egypt, that would prove the antiquity of that structure. Both these situations have come to pass. Scientists are now discovering, exploring, and sometimes photographing these structures. The same expansion of consciousness has brought about a significant change in the way I teach interdimensional communication. At the turn of the millennium, I needed to explain to audiences that other dimensions really do exist. A few years later, the public believed in these worlds and wanted to know how to enter these for themselves. Today, attendance at workshops has steadily increased, and members of the public are eager to discuss exactly what they are observing or communicating with and want to learn how they can work with the situation. Our efforts do affect others. Over 3 years, I took students on annual trips to an Illinois prairie to work with the nature spirits on some energetic alterations that needed to take place because of ignorant human land stripping and house and road building nearby. Each year, returning students saw a positive change in a once discordant situation. Each year, several students have been able to take actual photographs of the energies with whom we are cooperating. Every age has its reason for existing. In the recent Kali Yuga, because we humans could only see the gross physical, we were forced to find gross physical solutions for issues that began in spirit. If someone stole something from a store, they were put in jail or fined and given a warning. That physical solution now underlies all the other spiritual, moral solutions of previous ages. That is, if people don't behave correctly for moral reasons, there is now a specific, unpleasant physical result that will deter them. Life forms existing in other more subtle dimensions have greater energetic mobility. However, often they are not able to get down below the situation and hold the situation in the physical for it to take effect. This is one reason nature spirits often need human assistance to correct the situation. They cannot affect the physical aspect of the problem. I learned this firsthand one summer while attending a conference in the Maine woods. While I was walking in the woods, a woodland fairy approached me and pleaded for my assistance. When I followed him, I discovered that several small saplings had fallen over his community's core sweet spot, or their energy emitting vortex. The sweet spot, or energy emitting vortex. The saplings were blocking the energies of that area, and it looked very weak, run down, and energetically messy. I took some time to move the saplings aside and continued on my walk. That night, there was a full moon, and the next day on my walk through that area, I could not believe my eyes. The fairy community was totally transformed, filled with light and energy. The fairy representative greeted me and invited me in to sit at the center of the circle. Then, he and his compatriots graced me with the vision of the entire community having danced late into the night before in celebration. The fairies graced me with greater awareness, and when I asked if they had any message for the students I was about to teach, they replied, "Yes, tell them we need them. We cannot do the work without them. Humans are the arms and legs of this earth." During the Kali Yuga, we humans have so thoroughly explored the gross physical reality of our world that we have formed very specific methods to deal with a wide variety of physical abuse and opportunities. This knowledge will serve us well when we enter intergalactic society, where there will be many types and levels of life forms interacting with us and requiring a wise response from our side. However, the human effort to stabilize the energies of the third dimension has also fenced us into its perception. This is a dynamic inherent in a visit to any specific location. First, we are a visitor, then we start to settle in. Soon, we identify so solidly with the place that we may not want to leave, until the restrictions present in any single field of energy may cause us to want to leave it to explore other options. There are ways subtle energy workers throughout history have recognized and worked with this situation. The golden age of awareness that Earth is now moving into is affecting all life on Earth. Whether we are mineral, plant, animal, human, or elemental, we are recognizing that each other exists, that we can communicate with each other, and that we need each other to perfect the multidimensional world in which we live. Right here on Earth, there are many, many worlds interfacing with our human one. When you sit in your backyard on a summer day, enjoying the peaceful sun, Notice how many other worlds, just on the gross physical level, are interacting with ours. Look around at the trees and plants, grasshoppers and raccoons, the air forms such as birds and flying insects, and the subterranean life forms such as worms and moles. We have until recently existed as separate energy systems. How much more effective we could all be if we consciously worked together. In a similar fashion, we coexist with other frequency domains. Above time and space, we all exist in the same space. By shifting frequency and angle, we can see into these worlds. This is interdimensional communication. All right? So if something can be imagined, it is a reality in some world. In fact, Einstein said that imagination is way more important than knowledge. If we can enter into a world, we have the possibility of manifesting its purpose on Earth. We unconsciously create worlds with our thoughts at every moment. I am no good. I am the greatest. Only Christians, Muslims, Hindus have the real God, etc., etc. Our thoughts become so solid and real that we are fenced into that world, and it takes great effort on our part to get out. Interdimensional communicators, shamans, and occultists know how to consciously create or enter into forms with their thoughts and energy, and also how to exit. They are very careful to always know the exit site before they enter a new world. Some energies seem likable in their subtle form, but have disguised components that can create problems. Like all interdimensional communicators, I have been in conscious contact with life forms from many other dimensions. These life forms are real and able to interact with humans on projects of joint benefit or detriment to both worlds, ours and theirs. Each domain has many types of forms within it. Most humans are in contact with other worlds every day. We don't think of these realms as being other dimensions, but they are. Once we can accept this, it becomes easier to extend our perception a bit further and accept the reality of worlds further away from ours. Just some of the many dimensions and universes that interact with Earth are discussed below. My dear and esteemed viewer, if you wish to stay tuned and learn about some of these other dimensions and life forms, go on and hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave a nice comment, or leave a neutral comment, or leave a very critical and harsh comment, one comprised of what they call in Latin a logical fallacy called the ad hominem. Anyway, we'll get back to these other dimensions and life forms and further video offerings from the Umbanda New Earth Education Center for Consciousness, for the expansion of consciousness, and for the paving the way to the golden age, the Satya Yuga of the New Earth.
Namaste, Namaskaram.